Tonight, the alarming firebomb attack being called an act of terror. The suspect is facing federal hate crime charges, accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at pro-Israel demonstrators in Boulder, Colorado. What police say he told them about the plot, allegedly a year in the making. Also, 24 hours after Ukraine stunned Russia with a highly coordinated drone strike deep in Russian territory, the first day of peace talks coming to a quick end. Russia revealing its list of demands before agreeing to a ceasefire. What President Zelensky told our Martha Raddatz on what it would take to end the war. Unprecedented conflicts. From real estate to crypto, the Trump family businesses rake in profits in President Trump's second term. The moves raising new concerns as Trump hands out a flurry of pardons to political supporters. Jay O'Brien reports on all the ways the Trump family may be monetizing the presidency. Here in the U.S., the warning for millions of Americans, nearly 200 Canadian wildfires triggering air quality alerts across Minnesota. The race to escape Mount Etna, the massive eruption sending thousands running for safety. Incredible images in the sky. The Northern Lights make their return, part of the U.S., where you may be able to see them again tonight. After decades of hits, Gloria Gaynor is not only surviving, she is thriving. Our sit down with the disco queen herself.
I'm all about that. I'm all about encouraging women and uplifting and empowering and helping them to understand their own self-worth and how much they bring to the table.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Juju Chang in for Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin with new charges in the premeditated terror attack against a peaceful gathering of Jewish community members in the heart of Boulder, Colorado. Disturbing video captured the 45-year-old suspect who used a makeshift flamethrower to light his victims on fire. According to the FBI, the suspect yelled "Free Palestine" and threw Molotov cocktails at the crowd, injuring at least 12 people, many hospitalized with severe burns. And he is showing no remorse. Suspect Mohammed Sabri Soliman has been charged with a federal hate crime and state charges of attempted murder for targeting what was a weekly gathering of support in Jewish hostages in Gaza. It's the latest act of violence in an unrelenting surge of anti-Semitism fueled by Israel's war with Hamas. Just 2 weeks ago, 2 Israeli civilian embassy staff members were assassinated in Washington, D.C. In April, the Pennsylvania governor's mansion was firebombed on the first night of Passover. We'll hear directly from an eyewitness to the attack in just a moment, but first let's hear from Mola Lenge in Boulder.
Tonight, investigators poring over this chilling new video showing the chaos and panic after authorities say a man firebombed a peaceful Jewish demonstration in Boulder, Colorado, bringing attention to the hostages still in Gaza in what they call a brazen anti-Semitic terror attack.
A male with a blowtorch setting people on fire.
The suspect, 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Soliman, appearing in court late today, now facing 16 charges of attempted murder, as well as federal hate crime charges.
Stay away.
Authorities say the suspect dressed as a gardener to avoid looking suspicious Sunday when he yelled "Free Palestine" and tossed 2 Molotov cocktails into a crowd peacefully marching. Tonight, authorities raising the number of victims. Now, 12 people injured, some critically burned. They range in age from 52 to 88 years old, including, officials say, a Holocaust survivor. Solomon apprehended at the scene.
It's panic right away, trying to get off the fire, you're trying to help your friends get out of the fire, try to put down the fire.
I mean, people are literally on fire.
They're literally on fire. I don't know if I can express it enough.
And tonight, authorities say the suspect confessed, saying he had been planning this for a year, waiting until after his daughter graduated high school to conduct the attack.
There were 16 unused Molotov cocktails within arm's reach of the subject at the time of his arrest.
Authorities saying the suspect allegedly learned how to make them on YouTube, also finding a backpack weed sprayer filled with gasoline. Officials say he specifically targeted the Zionist group that had gathered in Boulder after learning about the group from an online search.
And when he was interviewed about the attack, he said he wanted them all to die. He had no regrets, and he would go back and do it again.
The FBI saying he drove to Boulder from this home in Colorado Springs, where he lived with his wife and 5 children, working as an Uber driver, stopping for gasoline on the way. Authorities searching that home overnight.
If we uncover evidence that others knew of this attack or supported the subject in this attack, rest assured that we will aggressively move to hold them accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
Officials tonight say the suspect was born in Egypt and lived in Kuwait for 17 years before moving to Colorado 3 years ago. But DHS says he was in the country illegally.
I was able to identify that he had overstayed his visa. While he did have a work authorization permit, it was expired.
It comes just a week after 2 Israeli embassy staffers were shot and killed outside a Jewish museum in Washington, D.C.
Sir, what were you thinking?
And back in April, authorities say a man firebombed the home of Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro on the first night of Passover. Back in Boulder tonight, this community trying to come to grips with this latest attack.
Now it's with the Jewish community, but it can be any other community. We need to condemn any violence, and we need to make sure that everyone is safe.
And Mola Lenghi joins us now from Boulder. Mola, is there an update on how the injured are doing?
Well, Juju, 2 of the 12 victims injured in the attack are still hospitalized. Both were airlifted to a Denver area burn center. At last check, they remain in critical condition, but they are expected to survive. Meanwhile, that suspect, he's due back in court on Thursday, Juju.
We know you'll keep an eye on it. Mola Lenghi, thank you. Brian Horowitz was nearby as this attack unfolded yesterday, and he captured video of the horrific scene and helped the victims of the attack. And Brian, we are so grateful to have you with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
First and foremost, you've witnessed something truly horrifying. So I just want to start by asking you how you're doing, how you're holding up.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think I've really had the opportunity to really process everything just yet, which I'm sure I will in the next upcoming days. But thank you for asking.
Well, I know that you actually ran in to help those who'd been injured. What did you see and experience in those harrowing moments?
Yeah, upon running into the event just actually south of what you're showing right here on the other side of the park, I was actually seeing hearing the screams, smelling the gasoline, hearing some of the actual victims themselves just kind of moaning and groaning, but for the most part, pretty shocked and silent. And just hearing this attacker yelling and screaming different things like F you Zionists, you kill my people, I kill you, pointing at us, looking at us in the eye and saying, I'll kill you, those types of things.
Were you
just hearing
worried?
people trying to de-escalate the situation.
I
Yeah.
would imagine that you were worried for your own safety as you were capturing this video that's so close to the violent attacker. What gave you the courage to approach and record all of this and keep the presence of mind to keep videotaping as the crime is actually unfolding?
I think I was a product of not thinking, really. It was more so I just wanted to make sure I could do anything that would help in case he did try to escape or run away so that we would be able to identify him. I remember clearly thinking this is really stupid and dangerous, and just to make sure I kept my distance. But if he were to really light either of those Molotov cocktails on fire, I figured I'd have enough time to kind of run away as he started doing that.
Oh, Brian.
But I just want to make sure I could do anything I could.
My goodness. I mean, set the scene for us. Tell us about this particular location in Boulder, in the community where this attack took place.
Yeah, I mean, this area, it's the pedestrian mall. It's where a lot of people will come from out of town, including ourselves from Denver, to take our friends and family and walk up and down the different different stores and shops and boutiques and have lunch at the food hall that we were at prior to the actual crime happening. It's places where we'll go post hikes, which is what we were doing yesterday, along the Rocky Mountains and the Flatirons that are there. It's peaceful. People are always happy, walking around, just enjoying the day. So it was pretty crazy to see.
And
it was pretty wild.
Yeah, this is a walk that takes place in a number of communities all over the country that's been happening on a weekly basis to remind people about Jews who are held in captivity in Israel. We understand that the Jewish community group that had these gatherings, Run for Their Lives, has canceled all their upcoming walks in your area. How does that sit with you?
It's almost a cost-benefit analysis in that point. And I understand that why they might cancel them for the time being. But it just means that we have to speak up just as loud just as loud or even louder in other ways and protest what's going on overseas.
And given this incident, how are you feeling as a member of the Jewish community in Colorado?
I mean, it's incredibly scary these days to be not just a Jew in Colorado, but just being Jewish entirely. I think there's a sense of frustration, betrayal, sadness, within our own country, of even amongst friends and family, within one another, and just even within our own, domestic politics and how polarizing everything's been. It's tough to be, and it's dangerous to be Jewish these days. And it may sound like an overreaction from people who aren't really in the know, but I will tell you that there are a lot of Jews that are out there right now that are just not comfortable being a Jewish American.
Well, thank you for having the presence of mind yesterday to videotape the horror and to have the courage to join us today with all of what you've witnessed. Of course, we'll have you in our thoughts. Thanks for sharing your story with us, Brian.
Thanks for letting me share.
And we're going to turn now to that stunning drone strike deep inside Russia. Dozens of Russian warplanes set on fire by Ukrainian drones sent into Russia in what looks like shipping containers. The drones then flying out of those containers, heading straight for their targets. Tonight, Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz has new reporting on just how Ukraine pulled this off.
Tonight, Russia reeling from Ukraine's astonishing and unprecedented drone attacks on military airfields all across Russia. These remarkable videos showing what Ukraine says are some of the more than 40 Russian warplanes, including nuclear-capable bombers, set ablaze. Estimated to be more than 30% of Russia's strategic bombers destroyed. The Ukrainian drones smuggled into Russia in what appears to be shipping containers with retractable roofs atop trucks. Watch in this video circulating online as one of the explosive-laden drones lifts off from the container and heads toward its target. Ukraine's Operation Spiderweb kept secret for more than a year. The U.S. was not given any advance notice of the attack, but it followed devastating Russian attacks on Ukraine. I asked Ukraine's president about the attacks today.
Do those attacks, those drone attacks on Russian aircraft, change the dynamic of the war? Does it put you in a better negotiating position, or might it enrage the Russians?
As for the situation on the battlefield, Martha, the Russians are trying to conduct offensive operations on a number of directions. The strategic operation that we have conducted on the territory of Russia is definitely reducing Russia's potential and demonstrating Russians that Ukraine is working on certain steps, and unless they will stop, we will continue the operation.
And as for now, any end to this war looks a long way off. Negotiations between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul today ending quickly and with no breakthroughs.
And Martha Raddatz joins us now. Martha, President Zelensky also said he has a team that will head to the U.S. at some point for further discussions.
Exactly, and he has several demands himself, or several hopes at this point. He definitely wants security in Ukraine, and he wants more weapons, exactly what the Russians do not want. Juju?
Martha Raddatz, thank you, as always. And now to the sex trafficking and racketeering trial against Sean Diddy Combs. Let's get straight to ABC News contributor Bernarda Villalona, who's been following the testimony inside the courtroom. Bernarda, how much of today centered on what prosecutors called harassing and humiliating cross-examination of the assistant, Combs' former assistant, Mia? What did you make of all that?
So according to the prosecution, Ms. Comey stated that pretty much the entire cross-examination of Brian Steele to Mia had to deal with a lot of berating her, of belittling her in terms of intimidating her. But I don't think it really had to do with that. Brian Steele was doing his job. His job as a defense attorney is to advocate for his clients. That is his main purpose. It's not to take into account the feelings of whatever victim or witness testifies. He has to get get to the crux of the matter in the sense of that he's representing his client, and he went towards the credibility of Mia and pretty much going that Mia is not credible and that she's making all of this up, and that the evidence corroborates that, being that Mia for the first time mentioned that she was sexually assaulted to anyone just last year.
And that was a tougher cross-examination than Cassie Ventura
absolutely
received, right? We briefly heard from a hotel manager before court adjourned. What did she have to say?
So the hotel manager, the purpose of the hotel manager coming in to testify is, again, have to bring in the corroboration that Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura did say at certain hotels. But more importantly, that number one, that it was paid by the credit card of the company. Why is that important? Because we're dealing with racketeering conspiracy. So the prosecution is tying that Sean Combs was using Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprise, as part of this conspiracy to pay off these hotels for these freak-offs that allegedly he was engaging in.
And this was part of this elaborate criminal enterprise, allegedly. And what can we expect tomorrow?
So tomorrow we expect to hear from Eddie Garcia. So why is he important? So he received immunity, meaning that the prosecution is giving him a free pass to testify about whatever possible criminal activity that he may have engaged on, with the exception of perjury. So what I expect to hear from Mr. Garcia tomorrow is that I believe he may be the witness that took $100,000 from Sean Combs' people in order to get rid of that intercontinental tape. That's what I'm assuming it is, but we'll find out first thing in the morning.
It's a lot, and we're in week 4 now
of
testimony. You've been there, getting up at 6 in the morning, getting inside the courtroom. At this point, in your opinion, has the jury seen evidence of this so-called criminal exercise that the prosecution alleges?
So I think it's all going to boil down to closing arguments, because the prosecution has laid out the breadcrumbs and the different puzzle pieces, but I think the prosecution has to argue it and tell this jury how is it that the specific acts that they have put forward in the evidence, how does it make sense that this is an enterprise? So you heard from Capricorn Clark, who testified that Sean Combs' own security grabbed her, kidnapped her, and took her to the house of Kid Cudi. So that way you have Sean Combs' own people within Combs Enterprise using them to commit a kidnapping. That's one form of that criminal enterprise and of that racketeering activity, and also of the arson. So you have little pieces that you're getting from each witness that's building on each other.
And now we'll see if those breadcrumbs lead to a guilty verdict.
Yes.
Bernarda Villaluna, thank you so much, as always.
Thank you.
And now to a warning for millions of Americans tonight. The Canadian wildfires burning out of control and the smoke over multiple states. Alex Perez with the images, the air quality warning, and where that smoke is heading next. Alex?
Hey, Juju, those wildfires in Canada have prompted a state of emergency there and air alerts here. Now, massive amounts of smoke from the fires billowing over the border, keeping parts of the upper Midwest under smoky skies for days now. Authorities issuing air quality alerts across several states here in the upper Midwest. The smoke now shifting as far south as Georgia and the Carolinas, but there is some good news here in Minneapolis. Juju, there are thunderstorms expected on the way. That wind and rain is expected to help clear out the smoke. Juju?
Alex Perez, thank you. And there is more critical weather to tell you about tonight. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z. So, Ginger, time it out for us.
Yeah, ahead of this front, Juju, we're still seeing some really thick smoke, especially in northern Minnesota. This is about 40 miles away from the Canadian border. This is round 3 that they've had to deal with since the weekend. So what happens when these storms come through? Likely this smoke mixes down to the ground. You get rid of it for a time, but watch what's going to happen out ahead of that front. Tonight, we've got severe thunderstorm watches from Lubbock, Texas, up to St. Cloud, Minnesota, right through the high plains of Nebraska, Kansas, eastern Colorado. The flood watches from Oklahoma City, Tulsa to Kansas City. But that same cold front will bust east tomorrow afternoon and evening. It will bring with it more severe weather. But here's the bad part. It could still pull in some wildfire smoke on the backside with the north or northwesterly flow. And out ahead of that front, you get more of a south or southwesterly wind, and the smoke that's been hanging around since the weekend could plague people from southern Illinois right through parts of Ohio, milky skies maybe in western Pennsylvania or West Virginia. There's the area for tomorrow with severe weather. Damaging wind is the main threat. It's bigger populations. We've got Tulsa included, Oklahoma City, all the way up to Cedar Rapids. Juju?
That's a lot to track. Ginger Z, thank you. And heading overseas tonight, we're getting a look at stunning images of Mount Etna in Italy roaring back to life as tourists were seen running in fear. Marcus Moore now with remarkable images.
Dramatic new video tonight showing the moment dozens of tourists were forced to flee as Mount Etna erupted on the Italian island of Sicily, the skies darkening above them. And now reports tonight that some of them are American. Europe's tallest active volcano spewing massive columns of toxic gas, ash and rock high into the air. Listen to the roars as the earth opens up, sending rivers of fast-moving liquid gas and rock flowing from deep below. A helicopter tour pilot filming this video capturing the fiery spectacle from the air.
The view was spectacular, was jaw-dropping. Some of the passengers also started crying for the emotion. It was really a show of Mother Nature.
Tremors from the eruption felt in nearby towns and villages, but no damage or injuries were reported.
Juju, this is the fourth eruption since November of 2022, and officials say that right now, today's eruption poses no threat to the public or air travel. Juju.
Marcus Moore, thank you. Several Republican senators have arrived on the Hill ready to take on President Trump's massive budget bill, but will they have enough support? Here's our Mary Bruce.
Tonight, senators arriving back at the Capitol ready to debate the president's so-called big, beautiful bill. But already a handful of Republicans, enough to tank the bill, are voicing serious concerns.
It's just not a conservative thing to do, and I've told them I can't support the bill.
Republicans worried the bill is estimated to add $3.8 trillion to the deficit over the next 10 years. It extends Trump's 2017 tax cuts and promises to cut federal spending by some $1.5 trillion. But some Republicans are concerned about what's on the chopping block, including cuts to Medicaid. More than 8 million Americans could lose their health insurance over a decade. In Iowa, Senator Joni Ernst sparked outrage when she appeared to dismiss a constituent's concern that people will die.
They are not eligible, so they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die. So, for heaven's sakes.
But Ernst is now doubling down, mocking those concerns with a sarcastic apology recorded by a cemetery.
I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well.
And Mary Bruce joins us now. Mary, Senate Republican leader John Thune is on a tight timeline here. What exactly is he up against?
Yeah, he really is, Juju. Thune now is scrambling to get this done by the July 4th recess. That is his hope, at least. He can only afford, remember, to lose 3 Republicans and still get this done. And already the White House is threatening Republicans who oppose this bill will pay a political price. Juju.
And the clock is ticking. Mary Bruce, thank you.
Thank you.
A major decision from the Supreme Court today, turning away an appeal by a group of gun rights advocates seeking to overturn Maryland's ban on AR-15 semi-automatic rifles under the Second Amendment. Our Devin Dwyer has been following the case from the beginning. Devin, what do we know about why the court made this decision?
Hey, Juju, the court did not explain itself, which is interesting, but it appears several of the conservative justices want this legal battle over the sale and possession of assault-style weapons to continue percolating in the lower courts. 9 states, including Maryland, have enacted bans on the sales of these weapons, like the AR-15, which is the most popular rifle in America. 10 to 20 million of those rifles in circulation. There are legal challenges away in several of those states where they are banned. Now, Justice Brett Kavanaugh today said, even though he was among the conservatives who voted to allow the Maryland ban to stand for now, Juju, he said he finds the ban questionable, and he does think the justices should take a look at it in the next term or two. But the bottom line for right now, a big win for gun safety advocates who have championed laws like this in these states. It will stand in Maryland now, and that is a big victory for them after so many of these guns have been used in mass shootings in recent years.
Interesting. And yet also in Supreme Court news today, the Trump administration is making a plea to lift a district court's nationwide injunction against sweeping plans to reduce the federal workforce and overhaul all those federal agencies. What is it exactly that President Trump wants to do?
It's a familiar plea now from the Trump administration, happening at least several dozen times, going to the Supreme Court, asking them to lift an injunction issued by a single judge, blocking the administration from moving forward. And this is a big one. A judge in California last week said the administration, 19 federal agencies, all the cabinet departments cannot move forward with plans to lay off thousands of workers. The judge said that it was likely illegal, violated Congress's intent, so she put it on hold. But the administration says the president has the sole power to decide who works for the executive branch. They want to move forward immediately, and it's likely we'll hear from the Supreme Court on that by the end of the month. Juju.
Interesting on those injunctions. Devin Dwyer, thank you, as always. And it was another combative day in the Karen Reed trial today. Reed is accused of backing her SUV into her Boston police officer boyfriend and leaving him to die in a blizzard in the front yard of another officer's home after she dropped him off at a party there in 2022. Her defense argues that it wasn't Reed who killed her boyfriend, but rather someone in the home that night, and that the police conspired to cover it up. Native American actor Jonathan Josh was shot and killed outside his home in San Antonio, Texas on Sunday. He was 59. Best known for his roles in King of the Hill and Parks and Recreation, police say Josh was shot multiple times outside his home and died at the scene. The suspect, a neighbor, has been arrested. Authorities are investigating the motive, but his husband posted on social media that they had long suffered from harassment and homophobic threats. Coming up, a multi-million-dollar reparation plan for the descendants of the victims of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre has been unveiled. From real estate to crypto, the Trump family businesses are raking in profits in President Trump's second term. The move's raising new concerns as Trump hands out a flurry of pardons to political supporters. We examine it all in tonight's Prime Focus. President Trump and his family are facing scrutiny for what critics are calling unprecedented self-enrichment. They're accused of leveraging the power and currency of the Oval Office to benefit their own interests. From a growing cryptocurrency empire to lucrative overseas development deals, pardoning political allies, and launching a pricey new members-only club. Jay O'Brien has much more.
From billion-dollar real estate deals in the Middle East to a flashy crypto investor dinner and the pardoning of political supporters, concerns Donald Trump's second term is blurring the lines between the personal and political like never before, as Trump tapped into his presidential pardon powers this week.
Just congratulate your parents. And I hear they're terrific people. This should not have happened.
One trend seemed to emerge, the president absolving the convictions of at least a dozen people with political and financial connections to him, like last month's full and unconditional pardon of Florida nursing home executive Paul Walzak. Days after the 2024 election, Walzak pleaded guilty to withholding more than $10 million from his employees' paychecks and spending some of it on luxury items for himself. According to the New York Times, Walzak's mother has raised millions for Trump's campaigns and recently attended a $1 million a person fundraiser at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club, though it's unclear what, if anything, she donated to attend. Less than a month after that fundraiser, Walzak had his pardon.
These pardons are rather arbitrary, and they just seem to be granted to people who are friends or supporters of the president.
That example and others concerning for former Congressman Charlie Dent, a Republican and former chair of the House Ethics Committee.
Have you seen more questionable behavior in the second Trump administration or the first one?
Oh, the second, by far.
Even some of the president's allies questioning the recent gift of a $400 million jet from Qatar to the U.S. Department of Defense for future use as Air Force One. The president is exempt from conflict of interest statutes, but legal experts and Democrats charge the plane could violate the Constitution's prohibition on federal officials taking gifts from foreign countries.
Donald Trump's acceptance of the luxury plane from a foreign monarch is basically the corruption that our founding fathers were seeking to prevent.
The White House says that's not the case because the plane is a gift between governments and will eventually be transferred to Trump's Presidential Library Foundation and would not be for his personal use after he leaves office. And critics also pointing to another venture that didn't exist in the first Trump term, an emerging family cryptocurrency empire. On full display at this gala last week, an event where the top 220 buyers of his personal crypto meme coin were given exclusive access to Trump, seen standing next to a podium with the seal of the president. The White House saying that Trump was only there in a personal capacity on his own time.
And I'm just one of 220 people that are invited. And there's no media, there's no recording, there's no plus ones. It's just truly some of the most influential figures in crypto and policy, and of course, the man himself.
The top 25 meme coin investors even getting a tour of the White House, like Justin Sun, a Chinese crypto mogul who was previously under investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission for fraud. That probe halted by the Trump administration in February. Both Trump and the First Lady have a meme coin.
I think the initial meme coin launch was some of the most anger I've seen out of the crypto world towards Donald Trump. I think a lot of people in the crypto world view meme coins as a cash grab, which is frankly fairly accurate.
A company associated with the Trump family also owns a 60% stake in another crypto venture, World Liberty Financial. Trump's image is all over the firm's website, dubbing him Chief Crypto Advocate. But in a statement to ABC News, World Liberty Financial claimed they are a private company with no ties to the U.S. government. Once a crypto skeptic who said Bitcoin seemed like a scam, Trump has now fully embraced digital currency.
I promise to make America the Bitcoin superpower of the world and the crypto capital of the planet, and we're taking historic action to deliver on that promise.
As the president has pushed for new policies that could directly impact his family's cryptocurrency ventures, the Justice Department has simultaneously rolled back crypto enforcement. On Thursday, the SEC dropped a 2-year lawsuit against Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, which federal regulators accused of mishandling customer money. The case was dropped just weeks after that Trump-connected crypto firm, World Liberty Financial, announced a $2 billion deal where United Arab Emirates-backed fund would use the firm's token to invest in Binance, a transaction that could generate hundreds of millions of dollars for the Trump family. But the concerns of critics go far beyond the world of crypto. From First Lady Melania Trump's reported record-breaking $40 million deal for her new Amazon documentary to the multiple Trump family real estate deals in the Middle East, some of which closed in the weeks right before the president's swing through those very same countries. At least one prominent Trump ally expressing concern.
Oh, there's a brand new hotel going up in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, and another one going up in Doha, I think. And I'm like, did these just get done also with the deals that just happened over there, or was this earlier? You would probably know.
No, I don't know.
You don't? That stuff kind of worries me. It's
well, it seems like corruption, yeah.
That isn't turning some Trump family members away from their own ventures. ABC News has learned plans are now in the works for a new private club in Washington, D.C., co-founded by Donald Trump Jr. and Trump's crypto czar investor David Sachs. The club's official name, Executive Branch, intended as a haven for the Trump family and top MAGA allies.
We're creating something that didn't exist before in D.C., which again is younger, hipper, Trump-aligned Republican.
The initial price tag for membership, $500,000. Now, Juju, the White House points to the fact that President Trump's assets are now in a trust controlled by his children, and they assert that the entire Trump family are following all applicable ethics rules. A White House spokesperson telling us that, quote, everything President Trump does is to benefit the American people. Juju.
Jay O'Brien, thank you. And coming up, the stunning sight in the sky tonight will tell you where in the U.S. the northern lights may be on display. And June is Pride Month. The folks at Pew Research are out with a new poll asking LGBTQ adults if they feel accepted. June is Pride Month, and we're also coming up on the 10-year anniversary of Obergefell versus Hodges, the Supreme Court ruling guaranteeing the rights of same-sex marriage across the country. In its wake, there's a new poll from the Pew Research Center on the experience of LGBTQ Americans, and that is this evening's By the Numbers. Opinions on same-sex marriage have changed radically in 20 years. 63% of adults polled in 2023 supported it, compared to a mere 31% in 2004. 61% of LGBTQ adults also now say there's a great deal or at least a fair amount of social acceptance for people who are gay or lesbian. But that is not yet the case for those among us who are transgender. Just 13% of LGBTQ adults polled say there's at least a fair amount of acceptance for transgender people. And only about 3 in 10 transgender adults themselves say their own parents have been accepting of them. And whether a person is transgender, bisexual, gay, or lesbian, at least half didn't come out and tell someone they were until they were 18 or older. When asked what kind of support would do a great deal, to increase social acceptance, 38% of LGBTQ adults said support from religious leaders would do the trick. Support from religious leaders was more important to LGBTQ adults than support from politicians, celebrities, or companies. And coming up, music legend Gloria Gaynor is giving fresh meaning to one of her most famous hits, I Will Survive. Not merely surviving, but thriving. She talks to our Deb Roberts about her brand new LP. And it's a bird, it's a plane. No, wait, it's actually a bird, an eagle to be precise. We have news on what one of the eaglets born in Big Bear, California in March is now up to. Stay with us. Students stage a walkout for their classmate detained by immigration officials. The plans for a major reparation plan unveiled for the descendants of the Tulsa race massacre. And leaving the nest, we see one of California's beloved eaglets spread their wings for the very first time. These stories and much more in tonight's Rundown.
Hundreds of students staged a walkout in Milford, Massachusetts for a classmate who was arrested by immigration officials despite not being their target. 18-year-old Marcelo Gomez da Silva was arrested Saturday. He came to the U.S. from Brazil in 2012 on a student visa and has no criminal record. ICE officials said Gomez da Silva's father was their actual target, and Marcelo was driving a vehicle belonging to him when they arrested him. A federal judge ordered the government not to remove Marcelo from Massachusetts without advance notice and explanation. ICE officials have said his father has not turned himself in. Tulsa, Oklahoma Mayor Monroe Nichols announced a new trust to help descendants of the victims of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Officials say the $105 million Greenwood Trust will be focused on affordable housing and home ownership, cultural and historic preservation, and economic development and education. The trust was announced during Tulsa Race Massacre Observance Day on Sunday and is part of a multi-step Road to Repair initiative to heal generational wounds from the massacre. A major construction project on one of the 3 main runways at Newark Liberty International Airport wrapped up ahead of schedule. The runway had been shut down since April 15th, with takeoffs and landings reduced during the project, adding to the list of challenges that have plagued the airport and led to delays and cancellations. Officials said the runway is open for departures, but arrivals will still be limited until the runway is certified next week. A new report says most counties in the U.S. have seen a decline in childhood measles, mumps, and rubella vaccinations over the last 5 years. Johns Hopkins University researchers looked at more than 2,000 counties across 33 states, finding 78% of them reported declining vaccination rates between 2019 and 2024. The report comes with the U.S. facing rising numbers of measles cases, as well as outbreaks in states like Texas and New Mexico. John Brinkus, the longtime host of Sports Science on ESPN, has died. Brinkus died on Saturday after a battle with depression, according to a statement from Brinks TV, which he founded. His work on sports science was acclaimed for its analysis of the science behind major athletic feats across all sports. John Brinkus was 54 years old. We have liftoff from Big Bear. One of the beloved Big Bear eaglets flew from the nest Monday morning. The major moment was caught on webcam with Sunny seen taking flight as her sister Gizmo stayed behind. The eaglets are 12 weeks old, which puts them within the normal time frame for starting to fly from the nest. They grow up so fast.
And she's a two-time Grammy winner, known as the First Lady of Disco. Gloria Gaynor rose to fame from humble beginnings, becoming one of the most iconic voices in music history with songs like I Will Survive. The music legend is now releasing a new EP called Happy Tears, featuring the single Fight It On. Let's take a listen.
You would be only pain and misery. I'd have been fine on my own if I'd known.
And we're breaking out the disco ball as our Deb Roberts sat down with Gloria to talk to her about her incredible past and her next chapter.
Gloria Gaynor, what a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Okay, I
you.
confess, I have been humming I Will Survive all morning. I'm sorry. I just can't help it. I mean, when I hear your name, this song has powered so many people through so many things. What does it mean to you when you hear I Will Survive?
Well, it does the same for me when I sing it. Yeah, I sang a marathon version of it when I got divorced. And it just means to me an opportunity to encourage, uplift people, you know, help them through whatever it is they're going through. That's what was the purpose for singing this song.
And a lot of people have seen it as an encouragement over the years. Many people have interpreted it as a feminist anthem over the years, that it is all about feminism. But you made some headlines recently with the British tabloid.
I sang this song for the women and the good men. All two of them.
But you said that you don't see yourself as a feminist. What do you mean by that?
Well, you see, I'm from the 70s, right? So in the 70s, it wasn't just I'm strong, I'm self-willed, I can do whatever it is I want to do. It was down with men. I grew up with 5 brothers. Okay, so I love men, and I mean I love male company to this day. You know, so if that's what feminism is about, no, I'm not a feminist. If feminism is about, or being a feminist is about uplifting, encouraging women, having women understand their own self-worth and commanding their own self-worth, because I always say if you don't know your own self-worth, no one will pay it.
Right,
okay?
right.
So I'm all about that. I'm all about encouraging women and uplifting and empowering and helping them to understand their own self-worth and how much they bring to the table.
You have a song on the new release called When I See You.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's a song that I'm hoping will uplift and encourage people who are feeling a little lack of self-confidence, you know, afraid to go forward in some project or some dream that they have, and that they will hear me saying, when I see you, I see you able to do whatever it is you choose to do. I see you having the confidence and the ability, and you're strong enough, and you're wise enough, and you're talented enough to do whatever it is you're hoping to do, that whatever it is you choose to do.
You talked, and you and I were talking just before we sat down today about your touring in Europe, and you have been so embraced in Europe, but you've spoken publicly about the fact that you haven't quite seemed to find that same footing in the States always.
No, I haven't, but that's only because, let me say it that way, it's only because during my marriage, my husband was my manager, and he kept me in Europe. He kept me away from the United States, away from home.
So it was sort of a deliberate choice to be in Europe and to actually enjoy that culture. Well, let's talk about your new project, because of course you've come so much further than just I Will Survive. You've done gospel music, you've done all kinds of other things, and now you have a new project coming out, Happy Tears.
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
Well, it's, again, songs aimed at uplifting and encouraging people, helping them to recognize their own self-worth and to walk in their strengths and not major on their weaknesses, but major on your strengths and that kind of thing. And so the first song that we wrote for this EP was If I'd Have Known. And I was rehearsing with my vocal coach, and we were rehearsing I Will Survive, and got to the part that says, if I'd have known for just 1 second, you'd be back to bother me. And those words were illuminated in my mind. If I'd have known, I said, oh, I have to write a song with that. She said, with what? I said, if I'd have known. She said, if I had known. I said, no, we're Americans. We don't say that. We say, if I'd have known. If I'd have known, you were stupid. You know? So I set about writing a song of, you know, what would have happened if I had known, as she said. If I'd have known, it's, you know, everybody has that in their lives.
You look back.
Especially if you look back and you say, I wouldn't have made that choice if I'd have known this would have happened.
Right, right. You have done gospel, you've done R&B, disco. I mean, people see you as the disco queen. What genre do you love the most?
Gospel.
Gospel.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I love it the most because it's uplifting, it's encouraging, it's empowering, and it's about my first love, which is Christ. So, yeah.
Yeah, Happy Tears, you've got a documentary out, so many things. All right. Is it possible that you could be coming up on 82?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
What's the secret?
Thank you. Jeans and Jesus.
Jeans and Jesus. But you are still going strong. You're going to be touring, you said, this summer?
Yeah. A lot of shows in Europe.
Well, you are, Gloria Gaynor, you are not only surviving, you are thriving.
Yeah.
You make so many people happy with your
Thank you.
music, and I can't thank you enough for coming by today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure to meet you.
What fun. And our thanks to Deborah Roberts, of course, and to Gloria as well. Her new EP, Happy Tears, will be released Friday, June 6th. In other news, a huge burst of solar energy could bring us northern lights again tonight, especially in areas with less light pollution. Auroras could be visible for a large swath of the country from Washington to Maine, thanks to solar storms over the weekend. Time-lapse video shows they put on a spectacular display over multiple states last night, including in Iowa and Oregon. Solar storms can also disrupt the power grid and satellites in orbit, and right now is a particularly active time for our sun. And that's our show for this hour. I'm Juju Chang. Stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks for streaming with us.